I'm
All
ready,
right,
mommy.
ready to be counted in?
Yes.
Ready in 5, 4, 3, 2. Yeah. Hey, yeah. Where my mom's at? Where my mom's wearing thongs, hitting bongs at? Raising kids, cleaning shits, need a long nap. Where my mom's at?
Where my mom's at podcast with Christina P.
Discover the new Michelin CrossClimate 2 tires designed to keep families safer for longer than leading competitors. The Michelin CrossClimate 2 tires provide up to 1 year of additional tread life compared to 4 leading competitive tires. Discover more at michelinman.com. Hello, welcome. Thank you for joining. I have with me, listen, we've had a lot of moms. We've had some dads. This is Riaz. He's our first gay dad.
Gay dad's in the house.
So let me get this straight. You're anti-gay marriage and you're voting for Trump in 2020?
And I also want myself behind a wall. As an immigrant,
Yes.
I want to be inside of a wall. So a lot of self-loathing.
Lots of self-loathing.
Lots of self-loathing.
So we were introduced by a mutual friend.
Yes.
And she's told me about you for months and months. And I was like, I got to have this guy on my show.
I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah, I'm so happy you're here because we've never had gay dads. And it's a whole group that's never been represented. So let's get into first, what's your background? Who are you?
Who am I? I was born in Pakistan.
Yeah.
And we came here very young. And
How old were you?
I was 1. And
Oh, wow.
So outside of my house was America, but inside of my house was a different nation.
And we totally get that around here because Nadav, his family's Israeli, I'm Hungarian. And people don't really get that.
Yeah.
Where you're going to school and the kids at school have like Wrangler jeans.
Yes.
And
yes.
you're wearing...
And get Capri Sun. And like... And their feelings are acknowledged, and you're like, what the hell? Like, they constantly come in, like my mom and I were
Right.
talking about, and I'm like, this is different.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah. Or just good snacks or like pudding. Yeah, I know,
I know,
man.
you totally feel, yeah.
Yeah, and especially with Pakistan, like, so your food is really different. Like your house just smells different. And what does your mom pack you? Like, what did your mom pack you?
Well, that's funny.
For lunch?
So we came here, and both my parents worked, so I packed lunches.
No.
I have 2 older sisters, 4 and 5 years older, so they are older. And from first grade, I would set my alarm, and I would make lunches for all of us. And my first all-nighter was in 4th grade. My older sister had a paper on Nietzsche due, and she had not written it.
What grade was she in?
She was in 8th, I think. She was in 8th or 9th.
You guys are smart. It's a good school.
I stayed up all night in front of a typewriter, typing her paper, handing it to her, and then rolling up to 4th grade without having slept.
Wow.
So in my house, I packed the lunches.
Yo, you pack. That's the name of your album. Is in my. I packed the lunches, bitch.
Totally. Like, parents had to make their way in America. There was no time. Like, they were gone. Dad was starting his medical practice. Mom was helping that. Like, they were working constantly.
So your family was educated. They came
Yes.
over and. So your father, what kind of a doctor was he?
Surgeon. Educated in London at the Royal College of Surgeons. Very, very accomplished. But came here in America at a time when they're like, immigrants, not so much.
Yeah.
And so they forced him to repeat his residency. So when we came here, my father was already making money as a surgeon. And we came here and they said, nope. And so my mom, my dad, my 2 sisters and I, and my grandmother lived in a motel room in Fairmont, West Virginia for a year. Total immigrant story. And that's where I started. So apparently in Pakistan, we had servants for each of us. Every child had a servant. My mom had never changed diapers. And then we came here in the middle of the night, fleeing a war. And suddenly my mom had these 3 children and had no idea what to do with them. So our childhood was very much my mom being like, okay, I'm going to figure this out as we all figure it out.
Right. So that's the template that you have as a parent, but also what a wacky beginning to your life.
Yes.
And
in all of childhood until college, we lived in pretty rural, semi-rural Maryland and West Virginia.
what was that like being the Pakistani family?
They didn't even know what Pakistani was. They all assumed Mexican Latino. And so everyone was like, oh, the new Latino kid. And I'm like, no. And in West Virginia, when we went to school, there were only 2 options on the form, black and white. So I remember my sister coming home and telling my father that she's black because she checked it. And my father was slightly uncomfortable because he's like, I don't know what's happening in this school in America.
Yeah.
But no, it was rural West Virginia.
What year is this? Just to give me.
1975.
Okay, that makes sense.
So not a
yeah.
lot of diversity, not a lot of awareness of diversity.
No, because my father talks about when we came from Canada in like 1980, and we drove in a van from, down through Michigan.
Oh.
We were in Windsor, Ontario, and he's like, I saw the South, and they were so white. Everybody is white. And, thank God you're blonde, your mother's blonde, because, we are foreigners.
Yeah.
And they were like mesmerized by the fact that my parents spoke with accents and like, who, what, huh?
Yeah.
So, wow. I'm sorry. I'm like marveling at the first part of your life because that is so much. That's enough.
It's a lot.
That is enough.
My way
you.
of looking at the world is very open-minded because, and I'm a big believer in conversation to bridge a divide because my whole life people have looked at me and I've had to explain to them I'm not what you may think I am, whether it's a Muslim and what you just saw on the news or gays or an immigrant or Pakistani, whatever it is. I'm always using my conversation to be like, I know what you know, I know what you read, but that's not actually who I am. And so conversation is the only way to do it.
It is the only way, but I fear now that conversations are being stifled because I don't know. I try, how do I say this? I'm not a hypocrite, but I do change my opinion on things. And like, everybody should have a right to think
That's
what
okay.
the fuck they want.
And the thing that I have the biggest problem
matter.
with is you're not allowed to have two thoughts at the same time.
Yeah.
I can't feel bad for the situation that black people are facing in America, but also feel bad for the situation that rural, poor, white America is facing. Like, I can have those two thoughts.
Right.
I can, but I'm not allowed to.
But now, yes, there's no dialogue, there's no discourse, there's no letting people explore ideas and let's hear what the Pakistani gay Muslim dad has to say.
Totally.
Those are so many identities that you carry, and now you're American, or do we? Okay,
I'm American, but the fact that I was born in Pakistan is still in my passport. So mostly when I go through international airports, my British husband is waved to the right, and I am asked to step aside to the left with the man with the machine gun. And in Germany, it has no problems doing this. By the way, Frankfurt Airport has no problems being politically correct. They're like, come with the machine gun man, and you just sit there with all the other Sudanese refugees and all the people are like, and you're like, I guess we're this holding pattern here. And I'm constantly used to being pulled aside because my passport says I was born in Pakistan.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That is so scary.
It's intense.
And how do you have to handle that? I mean,
well, the last time I traveled internationally, my passport was taken from me.
What?
Without reason. I'm telling you, it's not fun to be Pakistani these days.
It is not.
It was taken, and I said, but this is my ID to get through the next airport. And they said, no.
Taken from you? Who
taken
took
from
it from you?
The U.S. Passport Control. They said, we think there's a duplicate passport out there.
No.
And I said, I've had this passport for 10 years, you can see. And they're like, no, we need it. And so then I gave it to them. And then 3 weeks later, I get a call from Passport Control saying, why did you surrender your passport? I was like, because a man with a gun asked me to. And they're like, well, you shouldn't have done that. And I'm like, okay, at what suggestion are you offering that I should have gone to the man with the gun and said, no. Allow me to overrule you, even though you hold domain here in this airport. No, so it's all these wacky things happen constantly in my life. And I can either become bitter about them and become resentful and let that perspective of being a victim define everything.
Right.
Or just say, there's some ignorant people out there and they become less ignorant when you expose them.
That is so true. That's really the essence of it. And I understand the inclination of people to be like, no, forget that person. F that person. That guy that took your passport is wrong and he should be erased and canceled and everybody like him should be like, yeah, I agree. I think they should be canceled, but that's not how it works.
That's not how it works.
You can't do it, sweetie. It's a slower process and it's painfully. And also what you said about that, gosh, I think we think because this is the United States of America that stuff can't happen to you, that the guy with a machine gun can take your passport, because that's why our parents ostensibly came here, because my family too came from a country where a guy with a machine gun can take you away in the night and you disappear forever.
Yes.
So you come here and you're like, it's fine, everything's, thank God we're in the land of the free. And like, what?
Although I would say it is probably the most free.
It is. I would argue that too.
In dangerous times, it's the most free. And I really don't, I have to say, every time someone has either pulled me aside or whatever, I'll look at them and I get it. You know, most of the terrorists do look like me. It's not ridiculous.
I don't know, Riaz. You're pretty attractive. And I love your shirt.
Are you saying that terrorists cannot be pretty?
You're kind of hot. Like, you're an attractive terrorist, okay?
Well, it was funny. After 9/11, I had to travel, and my sister told me, my sister's a judge, and she said,
oh my
just...
God. My dad's a surgeon. My sister's a judge.
The other is a psychiatrist.
Dum-dums in this family.
A total brown immigrant family. But she told me going through the airport, she's like, just act gayer. And I was like, what? And she goes, whoever heard of a gay terrorist? Just like lisp your way through immigration.
Yeah, just skip through the line. They're like, literally.
Like, fabulous. It's so fabulous. Like, who's going to pull me over? Yeah. Exact glitter. Glitter and sequins.
What's that douchebag? What's his name? You know, the old guy. He's blonde.
Which one?
Rip Torn Taylor. Well, anyway, that was terrible. My brain's fried. Sorry, guys. I've been up for 2 or 3 nights with a 2-year-old.
No.
Rip? Yeah, it's like the gayest human to
Oh my God,
live.
yes.
Yeah, he was fantastic. So any hoodles. So, okay, so you've got that going. It's not bad enough. It's not hard enough that you were an immigrant, that you're Pakistani, and now you're gay. Oh, and Muslim, and we're at war with your part of the world. Like, how the fuck?
And then you bring the I'm a gay dad, and you see a whole new level of reactions. You know, I was saying to a friend, I'm not used to being this out, because if you see me walking around, you'll be like, maybe he's gay, stylish, maybe he's not, who knows? But you don't like, I don't scream gay. I now go through airports with my husband and my children, and there is always a double take of where are the moms constantly. And you just watch people watch us, and it's a little unnerving, because you feel like any bad behavior from the kids, you're gonna get, that's what happens when you don't have a mother in the picture. You know, we're very aware of being watched, and any negative behavior, people are like, that's why it's an unnatural family. That's why you need a mother. And so our 1-year-old on a plane crying suddenly feels like it's more about 2 dads than it is about a 1-year-old being on a plane.
Wow.
So there is, I would say, having emerged into the world as a gay parent with 2 small children tagging along with me everywhere, that is a new level of being conspicuously gay that I've not had before.
And that obviously must make you feel vulnerable.
You feel very watched.
You can't pass now as just like, I'm just a guy in society. Like, you feel definitely gay.
Definitely gay. And when I'm saying my husband, definitely gay.
Definitely.
And, you know, from the moment you check in, where's the mom? You know, when you go through, and no one says it meanly, to be honest, funny. But it's always like, where is the mom? Where's the mom? And you're like, no, there's no mom. It's just us.
That's what my husband says whenever he's out alone with our children, that people are like, that's neat. Where's the mom?
Yeah.
Where's the lady who's in charge of all this stuff?
Exactly.
And I'm like, that's so stupid. I don't know. I had to learn everything about being a mom. It's not that that's somehow genetically gifted to you.
No.
Like, you don't know any of this stuff. I never changed a diaper until I had my first child. Yeah, that's really rough, because I think people, I mean, do you think they assume like there's no way these guys know what they're doing?
I think there's a general feeling that men are inept when it comes to parenting.
Yeah.
That men are doofuses. And so when you put 2 of those
straight guys.
Well, straight guys, I mean, yeah, and that's a whole different conversation, which we can talk about. But
I mean, gay men, let's face it, you guys are the Ubermensch. Like, you're cooler.
We're cooler.
Let's be real.
But that's interesting,
better.
because the cool factor's there. And so I can spot on the playground a mom being like, gay dad, gay dad, gay dad. And they will run over because they're expecting Oscar parties. And I'm like, first of all, that's not exactly where I am.
It's not a disco all the time.
Not all the time. And I have told my friends, most of my friends realize I'm a slightly disappointing gay man, because I don't like Halloween, and I really don't love drag. And like, it's really, I know. If you want me to go and get a better gay
Wait
band,
a minute. Yeah. What about the fucking, my brain. What about YMCA, those village people?
I know the steps to YMCA, of course. I mean, they couldn't get the card without the steps to YMCA. I mean, be literal.
Yeah,
it's like, do I kiss men? Yes, I do.
Yes,
do I know YMCA?
Do you go to the gym?
But it's fascinating to go through the world of, and I would say parenthood is run by moms. It's one of those worlds that is completely run by women.
I'm trying to work this out in my bit, that we are the controllers of this universe. There's so much power in that. And I feel like if we need to assume it positively, because right now the whole meme is like drinking wine. It's like, well, okay, now that you know you have all this power, let's make it awesome. But anyway, I digress. What do you see in the straight world that we don't see? Because you're from the outside in. Tell me what's going on.
It's fascinating. So I found the culture of moms, and this is from when we were expecting through having the child. Like,
Oh, you got to walk me how you did all that.
Oh, yeah, we'll do that.
That's fascinating.
Is very much, the mom culture is so intense and I find it so unfair to women. Like, it's weirdly super accepting of us, not for the right reasons, but because we're new and we're fun. But women to other women, moms to other moms, I have gone off on a woman in a grocery store for talking to another mother a way that I would never talk to a stranger.
Like, what happened?
Like, she was like, you shouldn't do that. And I was like, to another mom in line, and then I was like, no one asked you. Like, moms feeling this right to touch the pregnancy, tell you what to do.
Yeah, that's the worst.
It's sort of like, I've done so many makeover shows over the course of my career. I do a lot of work with women in self-esteem. And I always thought it was men that made women feel bad. I always thought it was men, those bastards men. And then I would do one show after another, and the first woman was like, my mother, then it was my aunt, then it was my sister. And I'm like, wait a second. So this dark self-perception of women and their bodies doesn't necessarily come from men.
No.
It comes from other women.
Print that. That's the freaking promo, Riaz. You nailed it.
And so here's the problem I have with moms, with other moms, is that there is a lack of forgiveness. There is a lack of empathy, even though you all have the experience. You'll only show each other your best. This is the best way. This is the best tip. This is the best thing. But your struggles and all, that's with a small group. But mothers are so hard on other mothers. And I always tell people, if women were nicer to women, we would have a female president. The only reason we don't have a female president is because you women won't vote for one.
We're haters. We're competitive. It's really interesting what you say. Let's talk about the body image thing first. I agree. I think that women monitor, and put it this way, a man has never kicked a woman out of his bed for having 10 extra pounds on her.
No.
My husband...
Or imagining, let's be honest, imagining she has 10 more extra pounds. Right. Because she doesn't actually have them half the time.
Right.
She thinks she does. So a man's never kicked a woman out of bed for the delusion of being fat.
Right. I mean, I've had 2 episiotomies.
Jeez.
And my husband's like, when can I go down on you? When can I lap up that mess? And I'm like...
Bless him.
I'm like, babe, I don't want, you know what I mean? But it's me putting the brakes on it, and my husband wants in. He doesn't care. They don't freaking care.
And I'll tell you a very specific example. When babies are born, and I've had this conversation with so many of my straight friends, the mother is obviously exhausted. 9 months to 10 months of carrying the child, labor, squeezing a human out of a small hole. Then you have the aftermath. It's insane.
Yeah.
Then breastfeeding.
Oh, you forget the breastfeeding.
I have friends who are breastfeeding and they're exhausted day and night. And I'm like, but you pump. Why not leave a bottle for the dad to do the midnight feeding? A, you need the rest. B, is the dads are always looking to bond. And the women are always saying, at bay, at bay, at bay. And when you're a gay couple, you are identical to each other. There is no difference. There's no men are from Mars, women are from Venus. You're identical. Everything's 50-50. I can't say I have more hormonal than him. He can't say. It's 50-50. So in parenting, it is 50-50. And we often will see our straight friends, and it's 80-20.
Oh, yeah.
90-10. But not because the man doesn't want to, but because the mother is controlling it. Because she thinks it's her job to control it.
That's interesting. Wow, man, I feel like I want to hear you say that 10 times and then like write a book about it.
I've watched this my kids are 4.5. I've watched them.
Well, but is it the chicken or the egg? Is it that we are we societally, the other women kind of competitively monitoring each other, the societal expectation of it? Are we holding the reins of this stuff where I know better, just let me do it because I know he's going to do it and he's going to do it wrong because dads don't do it right. They never do it right, I'm telling you. I freaking know this. They don't.
I agree.
But
they won't get it right the first few times.
I know. You have to let them try.
Have to, because to me, you have a really exhausted, really grumpy, really angry mother figure for the first 6 months who's overexhausted, can barely open her eyes. And I'm like, the father's just standing there ready to help. And if the father doesn't want to help, have that conversation. But I've seen every friend has married generally good men who want to help, and they're always kept at arm's length.
That's interesting. I think it was Tom Papa who was like, I didn't know what to do. She was up breastfeeding, and I was like, what? They don't know what to do.
And the problem is then the baby only is comforted by the mother. And so you end up, the distance is created because then the man holds the child, the child cries, but only the mom can soothe it, then take it to when mom has to go back to work. It creates a much more stressful environment than if we're saying it's 50-50 parenting. When it came to pregnancy, it was 100 and 0.
And I think that's where the inequity starts.
I agree.
Is that it's the woman's body, and it's like, for instance, my husband just had a hernia operation and a vasectomy at once, and it was a lot. Like, it was 2.5 hours under the knife, and he was under anesthesia for so long. And it was the first time he'd ever been unable to really get up and do what he wanted with his life. And I saw him go through what I went through with our first pregnancy of like, dude, I did that like twice. I've been pregnant twice. The last month, you don't just get up and go where you want to go. And then when the baby's born, you can't get up and go where you want to go for a really long time.
So why have we not evolved knowing that to a parenting partnership that once you finish labor and you are needing to heal, let the man step up for a period of time.
Here's what. Okay, so I think you're absolutely right, and I think in the future it's going to be that way. In the next few generations, like my sons will probably have a more equal, equitable thing in parenting. But at least in the male-female paradigm, the heterosexual marriage, my husband earns a lot more money than me. So I have to stay home and deal with kid stuff, and he goes out and he earns the bacon and I fry it. So it's still, but you guys have it where now you're 50-50. I'm assuming your earning potential is the same.
About.
Right. So like, but I'm saying in a way it's easier for us because I'm like, okay, logically you're making money, go make that money, bro, and send me the nanny. And like, I'll try not to be resentful and bitter and like, how do you decide who does what? It's almost harder in your case.
It's very strange because...
And don't forget, men's identity is tied up a little bit more in work than women.
I mean, I'll tell you, for a period of time, I was home with the kids a few months or so, and I got so many reactions from people like, so full-time? You're home full-time? And I'm like, yeah, I have a career. I have 2 Emmy nominations. I've done well for myself. But no, suddenly it was like, oh.
Like, do you have a penis? Or what happened to you?
Did you, maybe you are a woman now. And it was so awkward to be like, it is, and it's so funny because there is obviously an experience of being a woman that only women get. Similarly, there's only an experience of being men that men get. And that it is, don't cry. Don't complain. Don't make a fuss. Nothing. You are not allowed to complain or fuss about anything.
Definitely.
And it's the other extreme.
But that's why you guys die of heart attacks before we
always die before you.
Yeah.
You outlive us, and then you're happy.
Yeah. No.
Those last few years are like, thank God.
Oh, the pool boy. Yeah. This episode is brought to you by Magic Spoon. So, Magic Spoon. I've got 4 flavors in my pantry. And in the morning, when my little boys get their sugary cereals, Mama goes for Magic Spoon. I like my chocolate. So I feel like I'm joining in the fun without the sugar. Because here's why. Magic Spoon cereal tastes great, but there's 0 sugar, 11 grams of protein, and only 3 net grams of carbs in each serving. And they come in 4 wonderful flavors: cocoa, fruity, frosted, and blueberry. I have all 4, and they're fantastic. They taste amazing. It really is too good to be true. They're keto friendly, gluten-free, grain-free, soy-free, low-carb, and GMO-free. Go to magicspoon.com/WMMA to grab a variety pack and try it today. And be sure to use our promo code WMMA at checkout to get free shipping. And Magic Spoon is so confident in their product, it's backed by a 100% happiness guarantee. So if you don't like it for any reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. That's magicspoon.com/WMMA and use the code WMMA for free shipping. And we thank Magic Spoon for sponsoring this podcast. When you think of tires, who do you think of? Michelin, of course. Michelin tires. I've had them on my cars pretty much my entire life since I started driving at 16 because they're great. Safe driving isn't limited to new tires. Your family should feel safe behind the wheel driving on tires with 35,000 miles of wear, just as they do on new tires. Discover the new Michelin CrossClimate 2 tires, designed to keep families safer for longer than leading competitors. The Michelin CrossClimate 2 tires break up to 56 feet shorter than leading competitors on wet roads and 16 feet shorter on dry roads, even when worn. The Michelin CrossClimate 2 tires provide up to 1 year of additional tread life compared to 4 leading competitive tires. And when you buy them now, you can enjoy a warranty that gives you 60,000 miles of peace of mind. New Michelin CrossClimate 2 tires. Buy them now, thank them later. Discover more at michelinman.com. So, okay, sorry, I interrupted you though. So you're saying Right. You don't know the experience of a man. Right. The stress. Definitely.
And so being a parent and being a gay parent, you absolutely have this sort of like, oh, you're two dudes. That's great. But then who's nurturing the child? Who's the loving one? And you're sort of like, well, we both are.
That's so great.
But I would say I probably am more of the maternal one. In fact, I rarely now these days, I always had stubble because I thought it made me look better. I don't have stubble anymore because my children have two dads with stubble and they have no soft cheek. And so I'm always clean shaven these days
sweet.
so that my kids have a soft cheek to nuzzle.
Oh, you're so sweet.
But those are the way I find that gay dads are always aware of the fact that there is a maternal component missing. And so either we bring them in with friends, with moms, like we bring those female influences, or we try to learn, like how you do hair. My daughter's hair. I mean, my hair, as long as my hair's ever been, my husband's head is shaved. I mean, the combing and the conditioning and the cutting of long hair is a full-time job in the morning.
There's literally a point where I throw down my hairbrush and I go, enough grooming.
Yes.
And I say those words out loud because I can't groom myself. I've done the soap, I've done the scrub,
Yes.
I've done the toweling off, I've done the good smells, I've done the deodorant, the fucking makeup. I can't do it anymore. It's too much. But it's kind of rad. I mean, I've always wished I could have a sister wife like on those TV shows. Like, I wouldn't mind so much giving up intimacy if I could just have those extra hands.
I think being gay in America for the first 25 years kind of sucked.
Yeah.
And now there's a lot of advantages to it.
Yeah.
In terms of a partnership. It is so men are from Mars, men are from Mars. Like, we will be in the middle of an argument, and at some point, mid-argument, I'll be like, I don't really care about this. Do you want to watch TV? And he's like, sure. You could never do that pivot.
Never.
You could never do that pivot.
Never.
Or I'll come out and be like,
Never.
does this shirt look bad on me? And he's like, yes.
Yeah.
And then I go and change.
Yeah.
Could never happen. Could never happen in a straight marriage. There is a disconnect there. And I think when parenting, a lot of those disconnects are exacerbated because you have such different roles in the formation of the child, in the creation of the child. And so I keep encouraging my female friends to try and rely more, within reason, on the dad as a partnership.
I agree.
Don't feel like it's a mother's work. It's not only my pride, but it's my burden to carry.
I think burden, and I think that's a good word to use, because yes, we carry the children, we birth the children, and then we hold on to them tightly. I think part of that is hormonal and is from a survival, it's an instinctual thing. And that is my fucking baby, man. Like, you hold on to the thing. So giving up that control, I see, is really hard, because I see how my husband treats our 2 and our 4-year-old. He takes my 2-year-old, hangs him upside down by the ankles, and doesn't. I'm like, oh God, no! Like, you don't want to.
My husband does that too.
Babies, and so
and I'm the one who has a heart attack, being like, please don't swing our child upside down. No, I totally get it. I totally get it.
Your Duncan Trussell came on your mom's house, and he said he had brother husbands. Like, you guys are kind of brother husbands.
Yeah,
I kind of like it.
It's kind of nice.
My husband and I always talk about how awesome it must be for gay guys, because one of you can be like, do you want to like grind dicks right now? And the other one's like, yeah, dude, let's fuck. And you guys just do that, right?
Yeah.
Wow, that's so great for you.
Or like, which porn did you like this week? Was it sort of more masculine fellows, or was it, you can have that conversation without someone being like, you have objectified me. We're like, no. And the other thing that we do constantly, and people are always surprised, is we're always looking at other men. Like, and we have a beautiful marriage, 13 years.
Wow,
but we're like,
that's awesome.
That guy is hot. And he'll be like, totally.
Yeah.
But what's interesting for us is that you don't look at a hot guy and then wonder why your body doesn't look exactly like his.
Right.
Whereas for us, we are attracted to the Adonis man, but also hate ourselves for not looking like the Adonis man.
You don't hate yourself. Or you do.
We do, because we're like, look at his biceps. Says, I'm a man too. Why don't I have those biceps?
Yeah.
Like, you don't look at a guy and think, I wish I had his biceps.
No,
I look at a thing I think is hot, and I compare myself, like,
you go, I should have this, I should do that. That's so funny.
It's really weird.
Well, Tom and I, what we do now is, because we're both like, we're both carrying a few extra lbs, and we both kind of resigned to being like middle-aged parents.
You have to.
It's fine. So we'll look at like a super young hot person and just be like, oh my God, look at that guy. Look at, a fit dad over there. Or look at fit mom. Like, she looks amazing. And we can appreciate them and know that, like, Yeah, but I'm in my mid 40s. Like that time came and went, and I'm really happy for that person. And like, it's not going to happen again.
Although they're probably unhappy. You know, that super fit person.
I don't know.
Well, let's hope they are. Let's hope that super fit person is with the 8-pack abs is slightly miserable or cries themselves to sleep.
Yeah, I hope so too.
Yeah, if you have 8-pack abs, you deserve to cry yourself to sleep.
Yeah, and you should have an eating disorder, right, to get those. So you've got this crazy traumatic-y, I mean, I don't know, traumatic. I'm projecting onto that, but I would say that you've had this wacky childhood, and how does this inform your parenting style? Are you more, like I found myself, because my parents were so nutty, I overcompensated and drove myself crazy with perfectionism, trying to right the wrongs, you know, like, well, Christmas is here. Guess what? Mom's going to deck the halls. We got a tree. It's Halloween. I'm going to do a whole spread. It's going to be a village. I'm getting it from Michael's. It's going to light up. You know what I mean? How did it affect you?
I think when I started the journey of becoming a parent, and it took us 4 years of attempts that didn't work. And
Meaning
I think
like surrogate
attempts.
And it didn't work. Usually you're supposed to buy that bitch and
6 times.
No.
It did not work.
With different women or one?
2 different carriers, because the first one didn't work. And so over the course of those 4 years, it changed the kind of parent I was. I think I would have been more control-y, perfectionist. This is what parenting is. And over 4 years of just desperately wanting to be a parent, not being able to, you start questioning why. And I think my goal for what this child would be changed. And to me, it was be simple, be super, super simple. I didn't read any books. I literally was like, they've been doing it for years. Do not overthink this. Just watch the child, react, and adjust.
Yes.
And my children, both of them were sleeping within 3-4 months. Both of them. We are just very calm. And I think the years it took us to have the children changed the way we parent. That we're so much more grateful, so much more appreciative, so much more in the moment, rather than we need to control this and they have to be perfect and they have to go to Harvard and they have to. None of that matters to me. And it did. It did at the beginning of the process. It doesn't now.
Well, because you're so like your family's so educated and you're so smart, and I'm sure there's that immigrant pressure, like somewhere in the deep recesses of your mind of like, this kid needs to get into a good school. Like, I taught my kids about college really early.
Did you?
I do. I still am like, and that person goes to college, right? Like, the swim instructor would come over, this sweet little 20-year-old girl, and I'm like, she's in college, Ellis.
That's
Look how
cute.
good that is. And she doesn't do drugs, and she has good credit, and So
that's important. That's important.
oh, that stuff's so important.
But
I would teach you that.
I went to an Ivy League, and I would say,
Where'd you go?
I did University of Pennsylvania
Wow.
for the psychology department. But I would say to you, dead honest, I don't know if it's worth it.
Dead ass, man. You
If
got
my
it.
children are interested in research or interested in something where the actual institution will be important, sure. But I do not believe that $60,000 a year is worth it for the lack of skills they have entering the world. You either have to go to a professional school, which you have to pay for, or in this world, maybe that money is better used to help launch them. Here's a business, here's travel, here's something. I don't believe that the liberal arts degree is what it was. And I don't believe the Ivy League intro into the world is as powerful as it was.
I agree. I think that the world has opened up, and there's so many different ways to make a living now. And I think the Ivy League education, that degree, really held a lot more weight in the world. Like to have that resume and go into a future employer at an interview and be like, I went to Harvard. I went to, what school did you go? Penn. I don't even know what an Ivy League is besides Harvard. I'm so dope. That carried weight.
Yeah.
And now that paradigm is completely gone. What's so interesting you said about like just paying attention, reacting to the child, and being connected. That connectedness I find is so important because and not worrying so much like what's going on, and because the parenting books, I feel like they didn't teach me anything. The ones I read, I'm like, this sucks. I don't like this.
I think obviously it's important for people who want it, but it makes you very self-conscious.
Yeah.
And the actual instinct of parenting doesn't flow naturally. It's now, here are 3 books I read. I'm supposed to do this, or this is what the mommy group said, and it becomes very complicated. And I think, even now in the pandemic, I told you my husband runs a nursing home. So for 5 months, I was alone at home 6 days a week, 6 days a week, 12 hours a day with a 2 and a 3-year-old. Just me. I would get up and I would never sit down until he came, because someone fell, or someone needs to go potty, or someone needs water, or someone's shoe. Like it's constant.
It's like waiting tables. You've ever waited tables?
Yes.
It's what it feels like.
Except for they're not always as nice, and they never tip.
They never tip. They always order the crappy stuff too.
Although now what I've taught my children is I've taught them to now learn how to massage dad.
Oh,
so
that's good.
Because I lie on the floor and they like walk on me and I'm like, this is good. And I'm like, if you ever want to show dad that you love him, this is a very useful way to do it. Yeah. Because although I really appreciate the cards, let's be honest, like 10 minutes of a shoulder rub for tension that you gave me is probably the better choice.
You know what I invested in, I highly recommend, is a bouncy house. A bouncy house. Just get one. It's on Amazon.
Yes.
You put the hose, the air thing, and then they go crazy, or just a hose in the backyard.
Yeah.
That is great too. That'll buy you some. There it is. $2.99 buys you some free time where you can look at your phone.
I think in difficult times, for me at least, the key to parenting is to be super simple.
Yeah,
super
keep
simple.
it simple,
Keep
right?
it simple.
Yeah, and I found myself with my first child really wanting to do everything. Like, we're gonna go to the zoo every day. We're gonna go to the museum. We're gonna, and you're like, this guy, he's looking at the trash cans. All he wants to see is the drinking fountain. Like, he's not interested in these highfalutin concepts that I have.
And so, who was that trip for?
Yeah,
like that's what I'm always like with my moms who are like, I have to do this. I'm like, who's that for? Because the 1-year-old, sure, there's certain things, but you're super tired. You're working now. You're not sleeping well. Like, why are we pushing this perfection now that only makes you more unhappy, more tired, more exhausted?
Yeah.
And I just feel like this cult of martyrs moms.
Martyrs moms. Ooh, that's
like,
good.
And I'm always like, martyrs are super annoying.
Super annoying.
Like Joan of Arc did not, like, when she was burned, she's not like, ow, 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 it's hot. It's really, ow, this really hurts. Like, she just like quietly burned. Like moaning martyrs. And I find there's this culture of motherhood where people just complain.
I agree.
And it makes
me
very sad. Like, that's all. And so you meet moms that you're dropping off and they're like, I didn't sleep and this and that. I'm like, why do we always start with the 3 things that went wrong?
Right.
But that's what we do.
But that's the culture, the complaining culture. Well, that's really interesting. Because a lot of mom stuff I don't like out there because I feel it is just that like, oh, I gotta get drunk and forget. And it's like, well, gosh, is it really that bad? Because then I don't want to have kids because that sounds really terrible. You know what's interesting is that I've learned so much from watching men. When I started stand-up comedy, I watched how the boys dealt with each other, negotiated the audience, dealt with money, making deals. I watch my husband and I watch his peers and how they navigate the world. It's totally different than how women do. And there's something lovely about parenting like a dad. And I think like maybe this is what we need to tell women is chill the fuck out. You don't have to do it all.
Chill the fuck out, because why are you making it harder on yourself?
Like, give me some like what do you do? Okay, what do you do for the meals? I mean, Jesus Christ, it's like you're a line cook when you're home alone with kids.
No, I hear. I mean, so the meals during pandemic, I got super into cooking, and so now I cook constantly for the kids. Like, I go to the farmer's market on Sunday, buy bags of vegetables, and I just figure out creative ways to make them eat it.
Oh, that's cool.
Like I did these zucchini fritters that are like breaded. It's all vegetable, but they think they're tater tots, and I'm like, haha, I've totally fooled you. But I think for men, I don't feel it as personally that I have failed if I make a mistake as a dad.
Ah, interesting.
I do feel like it's something I feel bad about. I want to correct, but I don't necessarily feel the deep-seated flaw in myself.
See, but I think I feel that when I fail, because I even have a segment called Mom Fails so that women can talk about it and not be like, oof. I think it's because like you're a woman, like when you can't have a baby, first of all, when you try to conceive and you can't, this weird thing happens where you're like, this is the only thing I'm meant to do on this planet is have a child, and I can't, and I have failed. So then when you finally do have the kid, it's like, this is my one fucking role and I can't do this. I have failed. I don't know. Maybe it's the way men see work, because I don't flog myself as harshly if I mess up a comedy thing, a work thing. I'll be like, well, that's just the next one. You know, that one rolls off my back. But I feel like with the mom thing, like if I mess up these boys, like if he becomes a serial killer, they always blame the mom.
I certainly don't want my children to become serial killers, but I don't think I am... Like, I think I care as much as anyone else. I just don't dwell in the dark around my children, because I think it feeds. And I see having done so many makeover shows, women who have been on my makeover shows at 30 and 40 and 50 who say, I just remember the way my mom used to look at herself in the mirror. And I remember the way my mom used to be unhappy. And I remember my mom. And I'm like, whether you think you are an actress like Meryl Streep, I guarantee your kids are picking up on it. And so for me, during the pandemic, there were weeks I did not watch the news at all.
Yeah.
Why would I? It's only going to trickle downwards. And I imagine the world is still going to be a disaster next Sunday.
Right. You kind of know what the headlines are.
It's going to be
really
ending on Sunday. If I take a month off, it's still going to be ending.
Yeah.
But it was like, I don't think I am that good at holding in all of my true feelings that my kids can't pick up on them. So I try to keep my true feelings as close to what I want them to feel. So if I make a mistake, I will say to my kids, I'm so sorry. Dad made a mistake there. I'm very sorry. We'll try it this way. But I'm trying not to add extra emotional weight to them more than is already necessary.
Yes, I agree. Keeping the house, I too try to keep the house kind of neutral.
Yeah.
Like, let's not dwell on the external crap that's out of our control ultimately. Like, hey man, let's just bake some biscuits and try to make the best of
Double
today.
hurricanes are coming. Double hurricanes are coming. There's nothing we can do about it.
I know. Okay, so talk about manipulating your spouse.
Mm-hmm.
Now, for a woman, it's pretty simple.
Yeah.
I mean, straight guys really respond well to meals in front of their face when they get home,
Mm-hmm.
a little dick touches, and some encouraging words. Like, that's all. Now, does it work the same when you're with a dude and you've got kids?
Well, I don't know if it works the same for any dude, but I'll tell you, for a British dude, very different.
Yeah.
Feelings are things that he finds interesting from a distance.
I agree.
Which is very much like my parents. I mean, I have a British family, married to British, but it is a bit of men are from Mars, women for Venus in our household, because I'm definitely much more emotional than him, but the language is the same. So I can say to him, like, even 2 days ago, I was saying we had a real argument about the fact that he's gone so much. The frustrating thing about it is he's working the front lines of COVID, so there's nothing he can do about it. But I said to him, in your not acknowledging how absent you are, you're not acknowledging how freaking hard I'm working to keep everything going in your absence. So can you acknowledge it without feeling the guilt of it? Because that's what I need. And he got it. And I think it was so clear. And I think when we fight or argue, we're just so direct.
Yeah.
And so the "do you want to have sex tonight" usually would come as a text saying, "I expect you to be naked in the shower at 8:30," and
Wow.
and so there's really little. Yeah, we tend to form plans for sex through text.
Wow. So you mean to tell me you can just have a
You
straightforward...
guys are horny.
You can just have a straightforward discussion fight thing. Well, okay, hold on.
Yeah.
Back up. Let's say he's not pulling his weight around the house and you want to get your way. How do you get him to take out the trash more? Give him a beach? Handy?
Before I get resentful of it,
Yeah.
I say take out the trash.
Right. Okay.
See, there's a different
they
option
don't-
there.
But my husband won't. It's that they don't listen.
Oh, well,
Straight guys.
you have not trained him well. Then you need someone to come in and train your husband to respond like any good person should.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah, no, I mean, if
How can we retrain? Let's tell the women at home.
I think you have to be. I think a lot of, and this is from listening to female friends talk about their relationships for 3 decades.
Yeah.
I think there is a lot that goes on in a woman's head of what she thinks she's conveying,
Right.
and how she wants to convey it, and the way she wants to convey it, and even when she'll convey it, because by the time it's been conveyed, it often is a little too late.
It's too
and
late.
the rage is already
Yeah,
there.
yeah,
So
yeah.
and then you're
Early.
like, now the fight isn't about the trash. It's about the thing that happened last month. That's what the real fight is about. And my straight male friends are always like, I never know what the fight is about because it's the thing from 3-4 months ago. And I'm like, that doesn't happen in our house because the thing from 3-4 months ago was brought up 3-4 months ago.
Wow, you need to have a seminar where you like help men and women communicate better. You're very good at this stuff.
I have done this. I've
Really?
done this many times, yeah.
Oh, right, on your TV shows. Duh. This year, back to school is leaving many parents wondering, how do we do this? I can't even imagine. If distance learning is anything like it was last year, you know you need a proven solution. You need Laurel Springs. With nearly 30 years of experience in distance education, Laurel Springs is the expert in online learning. From kindergarten through 12th grade and beyond, Laurel Springs' student-centered experience is a framework for each learner's path and pace. In addition, Laurel Springs offers specialized programs for academically driven students desiring advanced and accelerated instruction through its academy at Laurel Springs, as well as postgraduate courses for those seeking an enriching gap year experience. It really is a wonderful resource for anybody looking to round out their education. I really like Laurel Springs. They're fully accredited. Their transcripts are recognized by colleges and universities worldwide. Take control of your child's education. Enroll today at laurelsprings.com/WMMA and receive a waived registration fee. That's laurelsprings.com/WMMA for a waived registration fee. laurelsprings.com/WMMA. As a parent, worrying is in the job description. But what are the right things to worry about? Ancestry Health can help you cross a few things off your list when it comes to your family's inherited health risks. Parent intuition just got a boost. Ancestry Health helps you understand your family's inherited health risks so you know what needs your attention most. Parents know best, but Ancestry Health can help. With our most advanced genetic testing technology, that's next generation sequencing, Ancestry Health is now better at determining if you're at a lower risk for some commonly inherited conditions linked to breast cancer, colon cancer, and heart disease. Wouldn't it be nice to not have to worry about that? Ancestry Health lets you understand what health risks could be passed down from one generation to the next. Find out what your DNA says about genetic risk with Ancestry Health. Head to my URL at ancestry.com/WMMA to get your Ancestry Health kit today. That's ancestry.com/WMMA. God, you're so good at
Because
this.
it really is, a lot of it's archaic. And in the same ways that now, like you said, in the next generation, your son will probably have a more even parenting role with his spouse.
Yeah.
Whatever genders they are.
Yeah.
Whatever it's they are.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
How you feel about the gender binary stuff?
I think it is, having been gay and knowing that I didn't fit in and something was wrong with me, I'm totally supportive of it. I feel like when you start altering your biology or physiology before you fully developed, that makes me nervous.
Yeah.
People who are either taking hormones or steroids or having surgery before they're even 18 or 21. And I think if you want to dress and present yourself as a boy and that's who you are, and I've seen people who that is, I can see the 13-year-old, I'm like, that obviously is the wrong gender. But making permanent changes scares me. And I had a very interesting conversation. My husband's cousin is trans, and so went from male to female.
How old?
She is 34 now.
Okay, so
older.
that's an age to know.
An
Like,
age to know.
I'm definitely.
And having spent time with him before, you just knew something wasn't right, just not comfortable in his own skin. So this is great. The only thing that she was saying that she wanted was her birth certificate to be changed, that she was born a woman. And I said, I come from a medical family. You should not change your birth certificate because you genetically arrived as a male. That needs to be scientifically documented. So if anything comes up health-wise in 10 years, 20 years, they can look at that and say, oh, he's born a male. If you change that, you are being diagnosed as a regular woman, which you are not, even after the surgery.
Right. The physiology of you is such that it's
there.
not going to change.
It's not going to change completely. You're going to be something in the middle. But if you change your birth certificate to a woman and you present as a woman and you go to a doctor as a woman, that makes me nervous.
It could be dangerous.
It could be dangerous.
And what did she say?
She said for her, it was very important emotionally to have that.
Yeah.
And I said, is it possible to get that emotional validation from something else? That sometimes I think we push for legal ramifications of problems that often that we're looking for validation of something else. Like, I want you legally to be able to do this or not do this to me, rather than me conveying to you how you should treat me.
Right.
I want the law to make you do it.
I agree. And that's what feels weird. That's when it feels scary.
Yes.
When you're like, whoa, wait a minute, dude. A law about this stuff?
Yes.
Well, let's just take, wait a minute. Let's sort things out. Let's see what's what. Let's figure things out before we go crazy. Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah, because I'm all for people doing whatever you want that makes you feel good. But when we talk about changing the law and stuff, like, oh boy, hold on a minute.
And changing the law doesn't necessarily change people's opinions, and that in fact it often makes it more resistant. I've talked to people who do not believe in gay marriage, but they absolutely believe my husband and I should be together and have a domestic partnership. But for them, raised on the Bible, they believe it strongly. And I said, I totally hear you. And in a way, I'm sorry that your definition of marriage that's been held for so long has been slightly adjusted in your lifetime. And I feel that. But there was no other way for me to get the rights that you have.
That's true. So in that case, changing the law made a lot of sense.
Made a lot of sense, but I would not have cared. I didn't care if it was domestic partnerships for men and women, and for same sex, and marriage for men and women. I think we could have had the rights earlier if we had not wanted it to be exactly marriage.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Maybe society would have moved a bit quicker.
Without going for the jugular of marriage.
Thing, the institution right away, yeah. Correct. And maybe that wouldn't spook the normals so much.
Exactly.
Yeah, I got you.
Because I don't mind normals changing, but right. Sometimes I think we want to spook them and we want to come after them, and they feel our aggression at their lives, their way of thinking, and it is an aggression that we have. In the same way we think they're racist with us, we're a little bit condescending to them, the white racist people of America, which, having traveled extensively in tiny towns of America my whole life, I've always been received well. Always.
I know.
Sometimes with a conversation like, where's the mom? And I'm like, oh, let me explain that to you. Or where are you from? And I'm like, let me explain that to you. I'll do that, but I've never, ever had someone.
Have you ever had anybody, be like, what are you queers doing with babies? What do people say?
What are you queers doing with babies?
I don't know.
I mean, I've had hate constantly my whole life. Like, I've had hate incidents.
Right.
But I feel like in trying to get people to understand and accept who I am, there's a way I approach it, which is human to human, not to bring in the DNC, RNC, like none of that's going to help me convince you who I am.
Right.
None of that helps us. We tend to go way up. Like if I elect the president will force a law that'll force you to open your heart to me. And I'm like, that's a really weird way of doing it.
That is so true, because that's not how you change your opinion on anything. It's usually knowing a person or a group. Like, I've been to the Middle East twice, and I have had the best experiences with Muslims ever.
Yeah.
And like, I come back here and I'm like, they're great. They're lovely. Actually, I kind of like their culture. Like, I like when you guys separate. When you separate the restaurants for family, and then the weird...
Well, that doesn't exist anymore in Saudi Arabia. That's gone.
What?
That was outlawed 2 years ago.
You're kidding me.
Mm-mm. No, there's no separate entrances.
Where did I have it? In Bahrain? I had it in the UAE.
They have it in some places. But I think
fun.
To me, what I like about the Muslim way of life is that you have a sense that there's something much bigger than you, and that's your community and your family. And you're growing up in the East, your family is so much more important than your individual identity. And I think that feels overwhelming as a child, but as you grow up, it's a little bit comforting, because when a lot of Americans are raised that there is nothing more important than their individual wants, needs, concerns,
the individual.
All valid. But if that runs the whole show, you get lost, and we have crazy depression and all this because people are just they don't have the ability to surrender to something higher.
Oh yeah.
And my biggest goal for my children is that I teach them to self-soothe. That is like there are three things. Like, I want them to be hardworking, I want them to be good, and I want them to be able to self-soothe.
And that is cigarettes and wine. No, what is it?
We use Special K. No, it's like whether it's breathing or yoga or something, or going to your room and crying. Just some ability to say, life will throw stuff at me.
Yes.
How can I soothe myself with your parents' help for many, many years? But how can I learn to soothe myself to make it okay? Because that is what gets people in trouble with everything. Is when they cannot control. They have no ability to soothe themselves.
I still don't know if I do.
I don't.
During this whole thing, I went through different phases. I was like, well, I'm going to eat brownies.
Yeah.
And then that ended. And then it was exercise. And then it was wine. And then it was tequila. And then it was baking. It was like, and then it was Etsy shopping, and then wig shopping.
The Corona coaster, it's called. The Corona coaster.
The Corona coaster. I love that. Yeah.
Because it is. It's hard to be a person now, let alone a parent. And, who knows what this future is going to be. And again, I think we don't know. And what I try to do is I have only so much control. And I can control the experiences of my children around me.
Yeah.
And if I am not panicked, and if I am not worried, and if I'm not pacing the floor, which I've not done for 5 months, they're not going to feel it. And my kids right now are living their best life.
They're cool.
Like, they know that there are germs and they can't visit grandma because there are germs, but they have no anxiety,
mine too. They're chill. You have a 4-year-old daughter and a 3-year-old son. Oh, how cute. And
and boys are stupider.
They are. And they go to Jupiter to get more stupider.
It's ridiculous.
Didn't you hear that rhyme growing up? They just a little more reckless. Yeah.
But like they're same parents, same environment, 51 weeks apart. So it's not like our lives have changed. And I'm like, holy moly, women are advanced. I mean, I would really, really like women to run the world. If you guys could elect each other, I'd really appreciate it.
You know what's so interesting? Can I tell you what I think that is? Because I think it takes a long time as a woman to get out of the matrix. So first of all, there must be an awakening where you go, fucking what? Wait a minute. All this is nonsense? Like the makeup industry is nonsense. The beauty norms are nonsense. This is all stuff that it's self-imposed. All these norms, the perfect mother, that's a norm that I'm accepting this. I'm accepting being a perfect wife. I'm accepting all. So there's that layer of the matrix that you peel off. And then stepping into your power, I think men have a position where they feel more entitled to move around in the world a little bit. So you see, I saw my husband he walks into a room and sure, you should all listen to me. And why shouldn't you? And I had to be like, okay, I get that. I can walk into a room and assume that people should listen. I got to learn that. So now that's one other layer of the matrix. It's like you have to train us to get out of that. This is hundreds and hundreds of years of social conditioning that now we're trying to get out of.
And for women,
and it's slowly coming.
It's slowly coming. It's coming. But to me, there's also not been a lot of opportunities at the table. So I think women tend to look at other women competitively.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. Right. The competition.
Because there weren't so many seats. And so if you were in direct competition with women, there was one seat at that board. It was you or her. So I think as opportunities open and percentages open, I think some of that will go away. But I do feel like moms don't need to make it as hard on themselves as they do.
No, I don't think they do either. But that is the one domain that we still rule exclusively.
And you do not want... I'll tell you, I've treaded very carefully with my opinions about motherhood because it's intense. It's intense. Like, you get looks. I was the other day, even this week, I was talking to someone about surrogacy, how we had our children.
Yes.
And she was so judgy about like, so you basically rented her room. And I'm like, well, I mean, that's probably the worst way to phrase it.
Meaning she chose, it's actually the opposite, that she chose to make a lovely chunk of money.
And have these amazing surrogates that we're still in touch with.
Yeah, what?
And we did surrogacy overseas.
Oh, cool.
So
where?
The reason one was Mexico and one was Cambodia.
Nice.
And the reason we did is, I did not trust American law. I did not trust that 20 years from now, some woman can be like, I felt pressured to sign that and I'm going to sue. And you have to engage. In America, you can sue for anything and you have to engage. So I wanted to be international and I wanted that amount of money to change a generation. Here, if someone does surrogacy, it's like supplementary income. There, the woman one of the women, we know she put herself through school and changed her entire life and her family's life. And the other woman bought a house for the first. So we know that they changed the trajectory of their homes and their families forever because of this. And we're still in touch with them.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Now, here's my thing with the surrogate, because I was like, that sounds great. Because to have some other bitch carry the baby, why not? How do you trust? How do you trust them? Like,
Very
she's
intense.
Not smoking cigarettes and doing heroin and
super intense. So it really all goes by the agent, the person who's putting it all together. And it is the agents in the world of surrogacy are some of the most horrific people in the world.
Is that right?
Because they know that you want a baby badly and what are you going to do for it and how much money are you going to spend. So it's some of the most unethical people who are like, yeah, we'll get you a baby, and you don't trust how this is happening.
Terrible.
We used an agent who she was a surrogate herself. So we knew that she would care about these women. And we knew that she would go meet them, meet their families, even see the neighbors, because this woman's going to be pregnant and then there's going to be no baby. So the neighbors are all going to know. So we had to trust the agent to say, yes, this woman's is going to follow the directions. But it is trust. It's a huge amount of trust. And then when they give birth, you're hoping that there's no change of heart, change of mind. Now, both times the egg donor was different from the surrogate. And we did that.
Donor's different. Oh, what?
We did that so the woman carrying the baby would not have the genetic component and would not have the emotional attachment of carrying her own child. That was, it was way more expensive, incredibly more complicated.
I was going to say, that must have cost
Crazy.
a fortune.
Crazy.
A fortune. And time consuming. Well, no wonder by the time you had your babies, you were like, forget it. I'm just glad you're here.
I mean, there are piles and piles and folders of contracts and documents in this. And I want to put them all in one ginormous 3-ring binder. And when they become 14 and get like, why did you have me? I'll be like, here, take this tome of 1,000 pages to your room and you come back to me and tell me how I had you.
Right.
Like, it was not a fun evening in the back of a truck. Like, we literally spent 4 years and all of our life savings and all of our effort and our tears to have you.
Yeah.
So your difficult phase was before you got here.
Well, and see, hearing you say that too, and you see all these straight people who just have a fun night in the back of the station wagon or whatever, and they pump out a kid, and they're crap parents, and they don't care, and they're sometimes they're the same people who are like, well, gay people shouldn't have kids. Meanwhile, you really wanted these children.
We wanted it so. So I met my husband, and on our second date, our first date was 72 hours. Our second date, he came to the bar, and before he sat down, I said, "Do you want children?" And he said, "Can I sit down?" And I said, "No, if you don't want children." And he said, "I do." And he sat down. And then on a napkin, we wrote the names of our future children. And Zara, our daughter's name, is on it.
Wow.
So we always knew we wanted children. And then we tried and tried and tried. And I remember people seeing on Facebook, people posting their first child. And then people posting their second, because it took us years. And then people posting their third. And
it's the dagger. It's the worst.
All my female friends who IVF have been through it. We all,
yeah.
We wanted it so badly. And we thought, I came into this world at a time when being gay was so unaccepted. And it was something I hated about myself. I could have, if I could have surgically removed it, I would have. And then we fought for rights to be equal, and then to marry. And then we finally got that. And then the right to have a child, and then that. And then we couldn't have children. I was like, I've spent my whole life fighting for this thing that I can't have. And then when we had it, it was like, everyone said the bitterness will go away. And I was like, how can this bitterness, 4 years of trying, went away? I look at my kids and I'm like, that's why it took so long. I was waiting for you guys.
I can't even imagine growing up in a world that just didn't want you to exist at your core. Like I mean, I have gay man friends too who are my age, so they've grown up in a world that didn't accept gay people, now accepts gay. Like, I don't know, man. How do you deal with that? How do you not get angry all the time?
I mean, I did, and there was bitterness, and there was therapy, and there was, it was very hard because I knew so early that I was not what people wanted.
Right.
And whether it was the gay thing, the Muslim thing, the immigrant thing, like it was always something. And I remember times people would pick on me, and I couldn't tell which thing they were picking on, and I would have to be like, before you punch me, is it the gay thing or is it the Muslim thing? Just so I don't know how to react.
Too.
Yeah,
don't
I'm left-handed
forget.
too.
Yeah.
And that's its own form of prejudice no one remembers, is what our age, you're my age, when you're left-handed.
The scissors, they didn't even have scissors for you guys.
Forget that. Everyone bounces into the classroom and chooses a desk. Not if you're left-handed. You have one desk in the corner, and that is where you will sit, like some deviant child. I could never choose a desk, and that always bothered me. And so, yes, the prejudice of being left-handed is something that no one ever speaks of. I have to reach across myself to open a door every single time. I have to reach across myself to open the doorknob.
Yeah, how dare you? That's so true. But yet you prevailed, yet you went on, and the world is different.
And the most amazing thing is, the saddest part of being gay when I was the little bit. It was the crushing knowledge that I would never have children. That from the earliest age, that I would never get married and I would never have children. I would just be somebody's fun uncle. And the fact that over my life, I have seen the entire world change. And I look at these kids and I'm like, you're mine. Like, this was never supposed to happen. And so when I see the rage and the frustration with people constantly, I'm like, remember where we came from. It does change. Maybe not as fast as we wanted to, but it does change. My entire life did not exist on paper a decade ago. 2 decades ago. It's crazy.
I know.
The hardest part of being gay in the 70s, 80s was making peace with yourself that you would never have children. And here I am.
Well, gayness didn't really exist. I mean, until
it existed.
It existed.
There was always sparkle and sequins.
Well, but I'm saying, that Liberace wasn't gay.
No, isn't that funny?
Never. And Rock Hudson, what?
No.
We grew up with that era, and to see that completely change. I know it's funny, but you think about in the whole of human history, they're saying that the last 50 years has seen more change because of technology than any other. It's like unprecedented in the human experience. So actually, this is like quantum leap kind of stuff right now, where things are just, and I think people don't know what to make of it. People don't know what to do with it. But
I think simple.
But
simple,
I'm glad
simple.
you were able to do this in your lifetime. I mean,
I can't believe it.
So great.
It's amazing.
So amazing. Yeah. So what did you have to learn about little girls?
Oh, a lot. I mean, because I have 2 sisters, 9 female cousins, I have always had women around me. Very few men. Always had women around me. So familiarity with women is there. The actual anatomy was, okay, how do I clean down there? How do
man.
You know, there's a lot of specifics that we had to ask friends. We had to ask my sisters. Like we had to ask
I bet you
people.
could clean my vag better than I could.
I bet you I
at this
probably
point.
could, because I would come into it, which sounds very, very, I would approach the problem with new eyes. Because
Yeah.
I'm not exhausted by vaginas.
Right.
I've not spent a lifetime around vaginas, so it's still new to me. And so I think I'd bring an enthusiasm and a vigor to the
The
cleanliness.
vim and a vigor.
A vim and a vigor to your
Now,
cleanliness.
are you a gold star gay, as they say? Were you never been with a woman?
No,
Wow, so you're pure.
never.
You're
Because
pure.
I knew that if I was, it was a lie. And I never wanted to drag someone else into my lie.
That's so smart. So when did you know you were gay?
Oh, 4? Mr. Brady on Brady Bunch?
Oh, that was your first crush?
Mr. Brady.
We were just talking about cartoon crushes. Did you ever have a cartoon crush?
No.
Yours was live action.
Mine was Ricky Schroeder
Me
from
too,
Silver Spoons.
He was so hot.
So hot. And then Mr. Brady.
Yeah.
On Brady
Mr.
Bunch.
Brady was gay.
Was gay.
Wow, so you must have
I
on
must have
some
picked up on it.
unconscious level. Now, Ricky Schroeder, back in the day.
Oh, yes.
OMG.
I think he's Rick, by the way, now. I
I'm
don't
sorry,
think he's
now
Ricky.
he's Rick, yeah.
Yeah.
But look how, oh God, look, there he is. There's
Yeah.
that fox, the one that's highlighted on the left.
Yeah.
I don't like him as a man. I like him still as that, like,
He looks a little ridden hard and put away wet.
yeah, yeah. He did some drugs.
He did.
the drogas.
But I think it was also the train, because remember he would enter the room on the train, and I could just imagine myself being Mr. Ricky Schroeder riding the train.
Even his dad was kind of hot,
He was.
too.
Yes, he was, yeah.
And his stepmom, remember the stepmom?
Erin
lady?
Gray?
Erin Gray. I used to wish she was my stepmom all the time. Like, God, she's so nice.
So beautiful.
They're so nice and pretty and stuff.
But I knew I was gay very young, and then it
Yeah.
was just a matter of hiding it. And I remember,
Oh,
I remember
God.
in kindergarten coming home, and my parents will tell you about this, that I told them I had kissed this girl Allison, which was a lie, because at that age I was like, how do I make them think I'm not what I am?
You knew.
And so I came home and lied to my parents and said I kissed this girl, and now do you believe I'm straight? And then I would sing Barbra Streisand and want to play with dolls and cook and be sensitive, and I'm like, haha, I've totally thrown them off the case.
And did they know?
Of course I'm sure they did. It was not discussed, and I came out, and most people my age came out after college. We did not come out in college, and so I came out to my sisters in college and then to my parents after college.
Yeah.
And so when I told my mom I'm gay,
what'd they
she said,
say?
I know, and then did not
course.
speak about it for a year and a half.
Oh, wow.
That wasn't it. Like she said, I know, and then we never spoke about it for a year and a half.
So what about for the parents listening who suspect they might have a gay child, and what would be the best way to approach that?
I mean, I think it's so different now because it's everywhere. Like that, then it was like you never saw it, you never spoke of it. There was no awareness of it. Like Liberace was was like stylish.
Yeah.
So it didn't exist. So I don't think it's the same approach. But I think, if my kids came home and said, I'm gay, I'm bi, I'm pan, or whatever it is, I would listen and I would support. But I also want them not to just take the influences of the people around them. And I think there's such a pressure now to not be normal. If you're just a straight, normal guy, and my son lights up around women, so we can tell he's just a ladies' man. But, if he's just a straight white guy,
Well, let's hope your girl is a lesbo.
maybe.
I hope so.
Maybe. She does. She really loves pink and frills, though.
Oh, no.
And she has no interest in the Home Depot.
Oh, no.
We've taken her there. She could care less.
That sucks. This episode of Where My Mom's At is supported by OxiClean White Revive, my go-to product for laundry whitening and stain removal. Have you ever tossed out a white shirt because of a stain you couldn't get out? Do you have white linens that have become dingy over time? OxiClean White Revive Laundry Whitener and Stain Remover can save items that you thought were ruined or headed for the trash. With 40% more whitening power than chlorine bleach per load and none of the negative effects, OxiClean White Revive works like magic. It maintains brilliant whites and revives dingy whites to keep them looking new longer. It gently lifts away stains while brightening and restoring whites. It's safe on colors, and there's no risk of chlorine, bleach spills or splatters or that harsh smell. I love OxiClean. I've actually sent it to Nadav here in the booth to clean his sheets because I believe in this product. You've got to try OxiClean White Revive Laundry Whitener and Stain Remover for yourself. To work your magic with OxiClean, go to oxyclean.com/tryme and order a free sample. That's oxyclean.com/TRYME for a free stain fighting sample while supplies last. OxiClean, work your magic. You know what, moms, ultimate bros, summer ain't over yet. You may go to a few parties, you may enjoy a few drinks. And that's why I love DHM Detox. I'm telling you, when I'm a couple drinks in, I just pop 2 capsules of DHM Detox and I wake up the next morning feeling great. I don't feel groggy or foggy or hungover. It really just is a wonderful way to use science to help you not feel like you've wasted the next day because you had a couple drinks the night before. DHM Detox uses science with a blend of antioxidants and vitamins to help boost your body's natural response and help break down those pesky toxins while you're sipping on your favorite beverage. So, yeah, you just take 2 capsules after your first couple drinks and it goes right to work. So I've got you 20% off your first order and free shipping in the US. Just head over to nodayswasted.co/WMMA and use promo code WMMA at checkout. That's nodayswasted.co/WMMA. DHM Detox, baby. Yeah, because you're right. I think now, I mean, from what I can gather on TikTok, it's like not cool to just be like a cisgendered regular whatever kid. You have to have like 5 different identities and
totally.
Yeah.
I mean, I know. One of my goddaughters. Her mom was so excited for her to be a lesbian, and we think she's bi, but she might be lesbian. Like at some point, I think you're pushing it. I think you're pushing, and the mom's straight. I'm like, I think you're pushing the lesbian agenda a little aggressive. She's like, how cool it would be if I had a lesbian daughter.
It would be the best.
And I feel like it's so fun, but I'm like, maybe she's not. Like maybe you.
Mine will be gay. I hope so.
Yeah.
Wait, so okay, like let's say should you drop hints as a parent, like kind of being like for instance, my older boy is really into The Little Mermaid, and I sense he has a crush on Ariel. But I'm trying to just be neutral and not make him embarrassed and be like, oh, look in Amazon, like, here's an Ariel doll. Would you like an Ariel?
Nice.
Right, I don't know. But should I, like, let's say he was into Prince Eric. Should I be like, should we get a Prince Eric doll? Like, should I foster gayness or?
Who's Prince Eric?
He's Ariel's love interest.
Oh, in Little Mermaid. Okay.
Who falls in love with her despite her not being able to speak.
And flippers.
Well, because guys don't care what the dude says. I mean, the women says. But
I love that he's been brought up here.
Yeah, he's so cute though, right? So anyway, would you have wanted your mother to be like, oh, here's your Prince Eric doll?
I think
that too embarrassing?
There were such guarded differences then. Like boys playing with dolls was wrong. Wrong. I remember playing at my cousin's. It was wrong. I remember playing with my cousin's dolls and being nervous that my dad would walk in. And it's really hard to play when you're like slightly terrified at the same time. I mean, I think having the toys be fluid, I think that's all good. I feel like I don't want to lead the conversation by being woke, like more than they need it.
Interesting. So that's like pushing the issue.
Yeah, I kind of want them to bring it up when it's there and let them sort of figure out what they want rather than me saying, okay, this is what I think I'm supposed to do. Because I really think that figuring that out and just reinforcing love, no matter who you are, I love you, no matter who you are, I love you.
Yeah.
We were not a family that said I love you a lot. I mean, I don't know. Yeah.
No.
I mean, really, never.
What? It's for weak people.
That's for
saying I love you is what weaklings.
All the American children arriving with their Hostess cupcakes and their love from their parents and love notes written in their lunch boxes.
Please.
And I'm like, I didn't have time to write myself a love note when I was packing the lunches. And I was like, wow, there's so much expression. And again,
oh my God.
I think that's great, but also there's a middle ground. Like, there are times with our kids where we're strict. Like, we're definitely strict.
You have to be. I think that's what they respond to more is the boundaries and the no's. That's important.
Yeah.
To be like, you can't just do anything you want to, man.
Our greatest compliment, and this happened last night, we went to a restaurant, and it happens a lot, is we'll be sitting at a restaurant, and some older couple like 60s, 70s will walk over on their way out and say, those two children are the best behaved children we've ever seen in a restaurant.
Wow.
They never look at screens. They never get toys. They just sit there and we talk and all, because that's in Europe and Asia, how all the children behave.
Oh, yeah.
And it's so not the norm. The amount of times we sit down and screens are pulled out.
For the restaurant.
Restaurant, at home, like screens never exist on our table.
Wow.
And there's no way. And we're much more old school / European about manners.
You're speaking my language, bro. Nothing makes me crazier when you go to somebody's house and the children are, watching the TV and they don't even acknowledge that somebody's walked into the door.
Ooh. We went to Florida for a holiday a while ago when we could travel, and my daughter and my cousin, my niece. So my niece is, I think, 28. She and I have kids the same age, which is strange because I'm a generation above her. And the kids were watching TV, and the great aunt was leaving, the matriarch of the family, and so the daughter was saying that the niece was like, I'm not going to go grab my kids and drag her out to say goodbye to you. And I'm like, well, you're about to watch me do that exact thing. Like, there's no way 83-year-old aunt leaves without each child coming out and saying goodbye.
Absolutely.
And there's no way. And so many times I'll be at parent friends' homes and like the child is screaming upstairs, the child doesn't want to come to the table, or they won't eat lunch, or they won't and my kids just sit there. And they'll look and they'll say, like, are we allowed to run around? I'm like, no, you're not. But it's just not everything is what you want. Not everything. And I think it's a powerful parenting tool. Not everything's going to go the way you want.
Yeah.
How do you roll with it? You're not going to get dinner that you want. If you don't like dinner, you have to eat it anyway.
Yeah. Well, or I tell my kid, he's like, I don't like that, the green beans. I'm like, all right, well, eat what you can. I'm not going to go and make you 10 different dinners or try it, take a bite, whatever. Yeah, I agree. Manners are very important. Acknowledging when somebody walks into the room, saying goodbye to people. My 2-year-old now, when you walk in, goes, how was your day?
That's so sweet.
Because they know, like, that's what we say when you come. How was your day? What did you do?
That's so sweet.
Which, by the way, immigrant households, nobody asks. At least in our house, how was your day?
No.
You're kidding me. What did you do today?
I know.
I'm like, okay.
It was just not parents. What? Parents were not.
What?
It was not assumed that they would talk and be friends with their children.
Right.
Like that buddy relationship didn't exist.
That's wild. No screens, even for the boy. You're good. Because my first kiddo, Ellis, was just all pistons, man. When he was 2 years old, that was the only way we could get him to sit and just be calm and eat, because he was so fucking fired up. But now we took it away. Now both kids just eat without screens. And just talk. Hey, man, what was school like? What'd you do? Did you play on the slides? Did you play with so-and-so? Yeah, what happened? Yeah, it's really important. I think that's a huge deal.
And I think 90% of the time when we come home, my husband and I are too tired to do it. We still do it. We still make ourselves sit there, have the conversation. We'd much rather put them in front of the TV and eat dinner and catch up ourselves.
Yeah.
And sometimes we do, and sometimes we do.
Yeah.
Like they have a special treat, they can watch TV and eat their dinner in the family room. But 95% of the time, it's just us, and especially at restaurants. You don't have toys, you don't have screens. It's a special treat.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Fuck, man. So 50-50, dads and dads. Wow. So how are you guys handling COVID? Is he home more now?
He's home now. At least we get weekends. But then last weekend with the heat, he had to go in to check on patients. I mean, it's really, for families where someone is on the front line, it is a very intense experience, because not only is you're on the front line of exposure and he's there, like that's his number one priority. He's kept the virus out for 6 months, 6+ months.
Amazing.
Not one patient has had it in his facility, in his nursing home. But he's absolutely not home. And I'm frustrated and overtired because I work full time and then I look after the kids. And so
you're working full time too?
Full time. And I'm on the board of stuff and I have meetings.
How? Wait, how are you taking care of the kids and working full time?
Well, the kids are now back at school.
Oh, that's right. So you've got
just
that
opened a month
nice
ago.
window.
Their
Great.
little preschool opened. Yeah, so I've got a window.
Thank God.
But before that, it was just me and on calls with major studio executives. But it was kind of nice that everyone's kid would show up at some point. And it was nice because I feel like COVID got rid of this, I'm a worker, and then separate from that, I have a family, and the twain shall never meet. Now it's like, no, I'm a good worker. I also have children.
That's true, and I wonder how that's going to affect policies moving forward with women in the workplace or parents in the workplace too.
If we ever get back to a workplace, we might all work from home.
I think we will. Because the human need for connection and for a real thing, and it is different doing business in person than it is on Zoom. Zoom is garbage,
but
man.
overhead-wise, companies are seeing,
yeah, forget it.
We don't need an office.
It's gone.
Yeah, I think from a personal perspective, it would be great, but I don't see big companies saying, I'm going to rush and invest in a office space anytime soon.
No, you're right. Plus,
it's going to be home.
It's going to be interesting how the world pans out after this, even geographically with people migrating to different places now that they don't have to be here. What's that going to look like? The city life and parenting life and work life. Gosh, what was I going to have to do? The 50-50 stuff. Oh, God, I lost it. I think the guy said, fuck, having two dads. Oh, working. We were talking off mic before this started about now that people are really just home focusing on their children, a lot of stay-at-home parents, this is their world all the time. But now we've both had the experience of being exclusively like stay-at-home parents. And you realize how kid time is so different than real adult time.
Yeah.
You can't do shit.
No.
When you're caring for
not 2 and 3, not 2 and 3.
No, 2 and 4.
2 and 4 now.
Even today, I took my 2-year-old to the little shopping center. We got some chocolate milk, and even that should take 15 minutes. That takes 45 to an hour with a 2-year-old, and you just go, surrender. You surrender.
That is the thing I tell people, and I like to tell men about it because I think there's the cult of motherhood, and there's also the cult of fatherhood, and the cult of fatherhood is like, you don't really complain. You don't really talk about, as men, again, we didn't carry the child. The child shows up and you have this immediate love, but men really, really, they derive a lot of comfort from communication. And so for me, I would say the relationship super deepened when they could talk. And I find when I talk to
That's so true.
fathers
My
of mine,
husband too, yeah.
other fathers, I'm like, who the baby's like 6 months. And I'm like, it's okay if you're feeling a little not connected, because everyone around you was like, it's a love you have never known. The depth of it is so great. I'm like, yeah, I would kill for it, but a love I've never. I'm like, for a guy it may take longer, like, because communication is so important, because so much of it is just caretaking, and you don't really know who this person is. And I tell fathers, it's okay if you're not writing Hallmark cards every day. Like, that's all right. For men, it's different. It's different how the parenting bond works.
It kicks in a little differently.
It does kick in differently.
It does kick in. You're right. Because when they're infants, Tom, I remember one day I was having a nervous breakdown with my second child, Julian. I was just in a postpartum haze. I was falling apart, and he says to me, he's like, you can't fall apart. You're the captain of this ship, and I was like, yeah, but this is your second time around. You know what's going on. I mean, I know what he was saying. Like, I'm the lead here. And because the baby lives off of my breasts right now, and he didn't want to see me fall to pieces. Well, I wasn't falling to pieces. It was just a temporary blip. But I think you're right. There was a helplessness to that moment with him of like, I can't do this like you do this. This is your thing.
But I'm wondering if I wonder if the expectations were different from birth, like from the moment the baby came, that we could acknowledge as a society that the woman has physically, mentally, hormonally been tapped.
Yeah,
if there's a way to say, okay, here are 3 specific things the guy can do. He can do the middle of the night feeds. He can do something.
Yeah, man.
But give the dad the opportunity to bond early, so that you're not the only source of comfort moving forward.
I agree.
Because the longer you're the only source of comfort, the more you're putting all the emotional weight of the child on you only.
Yep.
And I've never met a mom.
They get acclimated. They get accustomed to just mom being the source of all the comfort. That's so true. I think one of the most inhumane things I experienced with both of my children is that you're taxed. You've just been through labor, which is in and of itself like so exhausting. You're broken in half. And the hospitals now go, oh, you're done with that? Here's the baby. And you're like, wait, what? And then here's the breastfeeding lady who's going to come around and pinch your nipples in about a day when you're completely sore and you're having contractions because your uterus is going back together. And it's like, well, remember the 70s or back in the day, they took the baby from the mother and put that baby in the nursery so that mom can recover and just sleep. And you knew that baby was fed. It was looked after. It was fine. I don't know why they stopped doing that.
Insurance.
Oh, is that
Insurance.
right?
Mother's fatigue is not a reason for a billable. No, I mean, women are rushed out.
I know.
And I'm like, and you can't not watch a woman who goes through the last month of pregnancy and labor and after, and not be like, we need to give her all the resources in the world she can, and her husband should be treated as an equal partner in this parenting.
I know.
Even if you're doing the breastfeeding, why aren't the meals being made for him? Like, if you set up the expectation, the problem is I find is moms
let's finish on. Give me some tips that women can do. Because as you're seeing us from the outside. So tell us, what can women do to make their lives easier? Give these women some tips listening. What do you recommend?
I think it's not feeling like it is your burden alone to bear. And even if it mostly is, try and shift the percentage to like 70-30, 60-40. Have them clean, have them do the meals, have them nurse. And I really tell them, please allow the father enough time to bond that they can be a source of comfort. Because if the next 6 months to a year, you are the only source of comfort during crying in the middle of the night, you've created a real problem.
You've created the monster.
You've created the monster. So try 50-50 partnership of comforting. It won't be able to be 50-50, but push towards that so that you acknowledge. And again, women, I'm back at work. Who was the Facebook woman who was like, I was back at work at 10 weeks. And I'm like,
I know. I read that book before I had Sheryl Sandberg's book.
Sheryl Sandberg.
Lean In. And I read that before we had kids. And I was like, oh, no problem. I can just take my baby to work. Because you don't know what that shit is like.
No.
She is delusional. And her husband passed away. So
and she makes
poor woman.
Hundreds of millions of dollars.
I know.
And I guarantee you she has a lot of support.
She has a lot of help. The average woman listening to this podcast doesn't have nannies
that
on
probably
nannies
wasn't in the book.
And there was no mention of a nanny.
Surprising that. People always like, I do this and I do this, but I won't tell you how I did it so that you have an unrealistic expectation that you will fail in.
Yes.
That is the communication I see between mothers and mothers. Not all of them. I mean, the wonderful mother groups, but the toxic ones are, I found it so hard, but I'm not going to show you that. I'm going to show you how great I do it.
Yes.
And then you, when you find it hard, will now question that and say, but she didn't find it hard. So
why can't I do it? I call it the Instagram mom, because I spend a lot of time comparing myself to Instagram moms where there's this great one I follow. I really do love them because I want to be like them inside, but I'm not. And it's fine. I've accepted it. Like, you see those moms that are like, I've got 4 kids, but I had time to curl my hair in perfect tendrils. And she's wearing like a perfect outfit and the house looks amazing. And you're like, bitch, I don't know. I don't know how you did that. Because if I went to try and curl my hair, my 2-year-old would grab the curling iron, burn his hand. And the other one would grab my lipstick, open it up, put his finger in it. Like, what are you talking about? It just don't work.
Parenting is the great equalizer. It's the great equalizer. My 2-year-old is a lot like your 2-year-old. Like, it's just, it's how we look at it, how we face it, and how we react to it. If we look at it like a burden and exhausting and we're tired all the time, then we probably should talk to our partner about sharing some of that burden.
Yeah.
If we resent it because of fatigue, we probably should sleep, because that is going to trickle down to the kid. There's no way it's not. And I just think, to make it simple, they've been doing this for years. People all over the world have children, and they go right in a field, and then they go right back, and the child lives, and it's fine. I think we've overcomplicated it.
Yeah.
And I really think it's so simple.
I know it is, especially when you think that this is temporary. Like, I know once my older boy hit 4, it was just like, for me, I felt like, this is great, man. He's a kid. Like, now game on.
Yes.
And now he's chill. He's just like, it's fun. The 2-year-old too, he's a chill too. He's a chill bro. So it's like, it's more fun now.
Yeah.
And I think the less pressure I put on myself to do everything right and to do it, like, make all the meals perfectly and sneak the veggies in every single meal. Like, guess what? Sundays we're doing fries and chicken nuggets, bro. Like, that's what's happening. That's what's up. And you guys are gonna be fine, because I grew up eating fast food.
Totally.
I'm totally fine.
Totally fine. And if we need a TV night, or we need, like, totally fine.
Dude, do that shit too, homie.
Yeah.
I'm parenting like a dad. That's gonna be my book.
Parenting like that. I mean, the world would not work without moms, but I think there's something that moms could lean on dads more.
I love
or
this.
Hold dads accountable more.
I like this,
to relieve
Riaz.
the burden.
I know, I gotta go.
Oh.
I like this holding dads accountable, Riaz. This is fascinating. Will you come back and we'll do a part 2?
We could obviously talk for a while. I would
know.
love that.
You're so fascinating, and you're so interesting. And what I love about you is that you're not a victim of your circumstance. No. And I want this generation to see how the Xers came up, because I think there's something, I love Gen X, obviously, because it's mine, but like, we raised ourselves.
Opened the door with the key.
Bro.
Made ourselves a snack.
Bro.
Did our homework.
That's what's up, Gen Y.
That's totally what's up. No, what was up was nothing unless we did it.
That's right.
Nothing was up unless we did it.
And I think there's something wonderful with consciousness raising and like, definitely, dude, like, yes, oh shit, that's happening. Oh my gosh. But then I think the other part is like, great, you have the power. fucking do something about it. Create. Make some shit happen. And in your own life, I'm saying.
Yeah.
Don't just
do
cry
but do
about
the
it.
work.
Fucking do it.
Do the work.
All right. Thank you so much.
So nice to meet you.
You're so wonderful.
Thank
I just
you.
adore you. And thank our mutual friend. Shout out to Jessica for hooking us up today. I just adore you. All right. Until next time, Mom, stay cool, bros. Boop, boop.
Where my mom's at. Where my mom's wearing thongs, hitting bongs at. Raising kids, cleaning shits, need a long nap. Where my mom's